So do you think that people are born with the entrepreneurial spirit, or is it something that comes out of struggling? What do you think? Maybe it's a little bit of both, maybe it's one or the other. I don't know. But I do know that as a kid, I loved making cash. Like most kids, me and my brother would try to save up money from doing lemonade stands or pulling weeds, and we would walk down to the nearest gas station to the toy aisle. Do you remember those little capsule sponges that you put in hot water that form a dinosaur? Yeah, we loved those. So anyway, everyone obviously wants to make money, but does everyone have the ability to be an entrepreneur? As a kid in school, you're basically taught to go to college and get that awesome career so you can make a lot of money and make your family proud. Today, kids hear the word entrepreneur all the time, so they know that it's an option, but when I was a kid, I did not know that that was an option. I thought that you had to have a job that was 40 hours a week. You just now have to pick the one that you want to do the most. So naturally, you pick something that goes with your talents and is very high paying. So for instance, I loved animals, so I thought about being a veterinarian. I love anatomy and biology and science, so I thought about being a nurse. But something that these career paths don't have that I want is way more freedom. I'm sorry, but I would rather work 100 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for somebody else. When you're forced to arrive at your job at 9, 8, or even 7 a.m., whatever it is, and then you're forced to stay there for 8+ hours, there's just something completely demoralizing about it that just kills your spirit. Maybe you love that job, and if you do, that's so awesome. But those who want to be an entrepreneur know exactly what I'm talking about. So as a kid, my family and I would think of a really cool idea and say, why don't they do that? Why don't they make something like that? We never thought that we had the power to create something, create a product or service, whatever it is. We never thought of ourselves as the potential business owners. So I never knew that I had that capability. Leaving high school, I moved from a small town to a big city to go to college. I still didn't really know what I wanted to be, but I wanted to make sure that I had a backup plan. If you could be a bartender or a server in an upscale restaurant or hotel, I really think that that's where you can make a decent living while you're trying to work on your business. So that's exactly what I did. And this was a turning point for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but every single day I saw businessmen and women from all around the world come in, and they're staying for a conference, or maybe they're on vacation, or they're having meetings, and here I am serving them, overhearing what they're talking about and just thinking like, wow, they really sound like they're doing something that matters, something that's impactful. And as a server, I really kind of felt useless. I wanted to do something that mattered. And yes, working with people and bringing a smile to their face is obviously a really awesome thing that you can do, but I wanted to do much more than that. I didn't want to just stand around and serve drinks and food all day. I would be serving a table and be really intrigued with what the people were talking about. Maybe they were from a different country, or maybe they're talking about certain technology or whatever it is, and I would often ask questions or try to practice some of the language skills that I have with them. I love studying languages, and so often I'd see a lot of foreign business people and get to practice what I knew with them. And for instance, there was a time where I didn't realize that I was actually talking to a CEO of a very large Japanese company that was having a conference at the hotel, and I was practicing my Japanese with them, and they were really impressed, and the guy whips out his card and said, if you ever want a job in Japan, please let me know. I had a few situations where people were impressed with me and even offered to hire me, and I wasn't really sure why that was. So you always hear the term CEO and think, wow, what a big shot title. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I could ever be that. I don't know if I'm capable of being that. But I thought, okay, so I love the idea of what they do. I love that they can travel and be passionate about their business, and I want to have something that I'm passionate about. If you're working for someone else, you cannot fulfill your dreams necessarily, or at least not usually. If you're spending your time for someone else, your dreams are pushed to the back burner. Unless they happen to go hand in hand, which I don't think that's the case for the majority of people. How can I be like these people who are business men and women and get to travel and seem like they're doing something that makes a difference, and it seems like they really enjoy it. So my first thought was to be an executive assistant, because if I can't be the executive, the CEO, who's their right-hand person? It's the executive assistant. That's where I could learn a lot of the skills that maybe I need to have to be a business owner. So I started scouring Craigslist, which maybe isn't the best place to look for a job, but that's actually where I found most of my amazing jobs. And I came across this one that was extremely intriguing and very well written. It literally started off with, do you like chocolate? Do you want to work from home? Do you want to have free maid service? I was like, yes. The person who had posted this ad was actually a writer, and he was actually looking for an assistant. I don't even know how to describe this guy besides saying something along the lines of crazy. So I responded to the ad. Because this ad was so well written and intriguing, he actually had hundreds of responses. He whittled it down to 300 contestants and had everyone compete for this position. So basically, I went through 2 months of testing, and every day I was waiting for that email to see if I made it to the next round. And I remember telling all my coworkers about it, like, there's 100 people left, there's 50 people left, then 20, then 10. I made it to the top 10, and I was so proud of that, because the tests that this guy put us through were not easy. And I was just sticking it out through this process. You know, I really wanted this job. I really wanted to work from home. And this guy was like semi-famous, not really famous, but like he knew famous people. You know, there were a lot of things online that validated this. And so I believed it. You know, I'm like 21, 22, and this just sounded like an awesome opportunity for me to leave the restaurant industry, which is not fun. You know, I was making decent money, but I wanted to become an assistant so that I can learn about business. I'm at the top 10 of the list, and then the top 5, and then one day I get a call. This guy calls me, and my heart is racing, and I answer the phone, and I hear, Amanda, I'm sorry, but you didn't get the job. And I was so bummed. Then he says, just kidding, you got it. This is how crazy that guy was. That's like a psycho move. You don't do that to people. But nevertheless, I was still very excited. And when my husband got home, you know, we were dating at the time, I was literally jumping up and down telling him I got the job, and so was he, because we were so excited. This guy really built up his appearance, made himself look awesome, and the flexibility, the insurance, and the benefits, and everything I would get out of having this job. Yes, that maid service that I mentioned at the very beginning. Yeah, that was something that would be awesome to have, you know. So I got the job, I announced it on Facebook, I was stoked. He sent me a gigantic Hershey's bar that was literally like 20 pounds. I don't even know, but I ended up like giving it to my coworkers once I ate like half. He even sent me flowers, which was cool for the first time, like, welcome to the team. And then he sent me flowers the second time, and I was like, oh, that's kind of creepy, but okay. But this guy put a ton of pressure on me, and out of every tribulation comes an inherent blessing. You think you're going through a hard time? Well, guess what? You can learn something from that. And that's exactly what happened with this situation. He pushed me to my limits, taught me a lot. You know, he would say things like, you took 5 minutes to do that task yesterday. Why did it take you 7 minutes today? Or hard things can be done in a day, impossible things can be done by tomorrow, stuff like that. So just a lot of pressure on me. I felt the need to impress this guy. I wanted to keep this job. I was basically in contact with famous people because he would write about them, and so we would interview them, and I don't know, it was a cool experience for me. So one day I'm expecting my paycheck, and it doesn't come through. And at this time of my life, when I was working for someone, I had a really hard time talking about money. I always just busted my butt, and if they wanted to pay me less, I would probably accept it just because I wanted to be so good for them. And I don't really know where that comes from. I just wanted to be a good worker. I actually let it go for a week. I was thinking, you know, maybe there's something up with the system, not sure really what it is, but I finally contact him and say, look, my paycheck hasn't come in, and I kind of need that. So what's up? And he says, I'm really sorry, but I can't pay you right now. He then offered me to work for him for free until he could pay me. And who the heck is gonna do that? So I immediately said no. and everything started kind of falling together. And I realized, maybe I was a little bit naive to believe this guy. He did do a lot of crazy, cool things, but I don't think he was a solid person all around. I think, kind of got scammed a little bit. But like I said, it taught me a lot, and I'll never forget the experience. And I thank God for it, because he is the reason I started my business. My company literally became something when he asked me to create a recipe for him. So this guy was so weird. I never met him in person. Let me also clarify that I was working as a virtual assistant. So sometimes we would be on the phone, sometimes we would send voice recordings through text, but I never met him face to face. And one time he asked me if I could make him a bunch of these. If you're familiar with keto, you'll know what I'm talking about, but they were fat bombs. And I never heard of these before, and he would work till like 4 in the morning and just needed an energy boost, and that's what fat bombs help with. They really just help sustain energy. And so he ends up sending me a recipe, and I throw it together in my kitchen, and I taste it, and I'm like, there's no way that that's what it could taste like, or that's what it should taste like. It just didn't seem right to me. So I made my own recipe, and I sent it to him, and he was obsessed. He couldn't get enough. And even my husband and I, we found ourselves after dinner going to our freezer and grabbing some of these fat bombs because they were so good. And, this recipe had comments on it saying, I wish that these were in stores. I wish I could buy some, yada, yada, yada. And we were like, wow, all these people like this. So do we. This is kind of a weird new concept. I never heard of keto. I never really heard of eating fat because, it was so, ingrained in us that it was bad for you, even though it's not. And so Cal and I saw that there was a need for this product, and we were always keeping our minds open for a potential business idea. So we were like, this is it. We had a few ideas before, they kind of fell flat, and was like, I'm not really sure what we should do. And then this came along, and we were like, there's proof of concept, there's a need and a want for it. I have my own recipe now, let's go for it. Cal and I, thank God, have very opposite talents that come together perfectly. So for instance, he is a software engineer and is great with the back end stuff. He's also really good with machinery and his hands. So for instance, he does like our machine and the film and all of that, like kind of boring stuff to me. I like to do the social media, the marketing, the design. We actually work together on the design, but yeah, so our skills really complement each other, and thank God for that. Like, we would be nowhere if we had to pay other people. We did pay a designer once for one product, but ever since then, we've been doing it ourselves. If you pay high dollar for every little thing that your business requires, you will be sinking your money into a black hole. You need to do as much as you can, bootstrap as much as you can, okay? So when we first thought of this idea, we ended up getting a machine from China and getting film, and I will do a video about that as well. But we started to get the ball rolling with this process. We put our product on Amazon, we have our own website, and together we made something that we were actually kind of proud of. Well, time passes and we realize, gosh, we've rushed a lot of things, the recipe could be better, and we're just making silly mistakes, but it's all part of the journey. And here we are 3 years later. I've been full-time on this company for 6 months, and I'm so proud. We are constantly evolving, we are constantly getting better. We have 3 products now, and we will be introducing a new line as well. If you're interested in checking us out, please go to the description for a link to our website. For a very long time, we worked on the business just very much on the side. It was really not a big deal. We were exhausted from our daily work and would come home and would just want to chill. I was a server. I would walk like 10 miles a day, and I would just be so exhausted. But we still sold product. We still worked on the company. And now that I'm full-time, it just really couldn't be better. We are definitely looking forward to when my husband Cal can be full-time as well. But, we have business meetings every day, and I'm actually going to be doing another video about how we stay on target and how we accomplish our short-term goals. So I feel like I'm living the dream. I've been praying to have my own company for so long. There's so much I want to do with it. You know, it's not just a food company. I want to be an excellent employer. I want people to have an awesome quality of life when they work for us. I want to have fun, and I want to help others. Charity and giving is going to be a huge part of our mission. I have a heart for the homeless and the hungry and for refugees, and so I can't wait till we can do that for other people and to just share our stories. The whole point of this YouTube channel is to create a community with similar like-minded entrepreneurs. You know, if you're not an entrepreneur but want to become one, or if you just find this stuff interesting, or you have been one for years, I would love to hear your story, to hear your business, hear about your business. You know, I would even love for you to reach out to me, tell me about your business, and I can talk about it, give you my perspective. You know, why not? If you want to stay open-minded and learn about other people's perspective about your business, wouldn't you want to hear that? You don't want to be closed-minded to someone's opinion about it, because this is how people could be seeing your company. So you want to get as much feedback as you can. So if you want to send me your business or a website or something, and I can give you my opinion on concept, logo, the brand's impression, etc. I would love to have a community of people here, small, big, whatever, I don't care, who just maybe need help. They want a place to go to ask questions and to actually get them answered. When it comes to being a business owner, it's really hard to find materials today, but I'm also going to be doing another video about tips for someone who's just starting out. So if those sound like something that you want to be a part of and you want to watch, please consider subscribing. This is my first video ever, and I'm super dorky, and I really don't care. I just want to share my story, and I've been wanting to set up a channel for a long time, so I would love if you stuck around to see me grow, and I would love to see you grow as well.